Let's make 12BB Coquito. So I'm going to be making a half recipe today. Also note, I'll be trying to do math while I do this, so bear with me. Check the subtitles for corrections and also check the recipe down below, that'll be correct. To make this drink, we're going to start with a little bit of water. The recipe calls for half a cup of water, so I'm going to put in a quarter cup since I'm having this recipe. Quarter cup is 2 ounces, which is 60 milliliters. And I'm using a fancy bottle. You don't have to use a fancy bottle. You can get it straight from the tap if you so desire. Next, I'm going to put in a pinch of salt. The recipe does call for a pinch of salt. I don't know how I'm going to get a pinch, half a pinch, so I'm just going to do a little thing. Cinnamon. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, so I'm going to be using half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Half a teaspoon is 2.5 milliliters. Blah, blah, blah. Coconut milk. I'm using light coconut milk. The recipe calls for 4 cans. Wait, I'm sorry, 4 cups. Let me double check that. 4 cups. So I'm going to put in 2 cups, and I'll do the metrics down below. I am going to have to measure this out. I'll be with you in just a moment. Next, I'm going to put in my rum. The recipe calls for 8 ounces of rum, which is 1 cup. So I'm going to put in half a cup to cut the recipe in half. And finally, sweetened condensed milk. It says 1 can. This is 1 can. It's not fluid ounces. It's 14 weight ounces. So I'm going to have, and because it calls for 1 can, I'm going to have to try and estimate what 1 can is. And this is goopy stuff. So I'll be right back with you. Note that if I was a real scientist, I would weigh this. I'm not a real scientist. Okay, all the ingredients are in the blender. So the next thing to do is seal this up. Turn it on and hope it doesn't spill. Blend until smooth. I think that's smooth enough. I'm now going to take this and put it in a sealable container. I do have fancy jars. You don't have to use fancy jars. You can use mason jars. You can use whatever you like that's sealable. Oh, no, I have a funnel there, but I don't think I'm going to need it. And I'm going to seal my sealable jar, and I'm going to put this in the refrigerator where it's going to sit overnight or 8 hours. We'll see you in the morning. 24 hours later, and the Coquito is ready. I didn't sleep for 24 hours, I just didn't feel like opening it up until tonight rather than first thing in the morning. It's got rum in it. Anyway, let's try it. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to shake it. And there's not a lot of separation in this one, but I pulled out this one, which was a couple days older. And I'll give you a close-up of that later, but you can see the layers. So sometimes you have to take something sharp and break up, because there's fat in coconut milk, you have to break the fat cap and reshake it to make sure it mixes nicely. And this one is not a big deal because it's a wider bottle, so I'm gonna give it a shake anyway. And I'm glad it didn't spill all over me. There's a panic in my mind for a moment there. And I'm gonna put it in any glass that I want. I have these fancy tempered glass glasses that I like to use for Coquito, so that's what I'm using today. Now, I'm going to wipe off my fingers quick. That's the problem with these bottles, is that sometimes they spill a little bit. Garnish. We're going to garnish with some grated nutmeg, or ground nutmeg in my case. And if you want to get fancy, a cinnamon stick. And there you have it. 12BB Coquito. Drink with good spirits.